I am really happy to start this feather painting project with you. I think these are so much fun. And you can do them, if you don't have watercolor paper, you can do them out of stiff, just cardstock and different things. And I'm gonna, let's see, there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over the supplies a little bit first. What we have, and hopefully you were able to go on the blog. On the blog, I had a PDF that you could download and print your own feathers. If you didn't want to draw, if you felt that you didn't want to draw feathers, these are for you guys. And what's great about doing it this way, this is the original size. This is the full size. It fits 8.5 by 11. But if you want, on your printer, you want to shrink your feathers, you can shrink them or just size them to any size you want. So I think that's what makes that kind of fun. So what I did is then to trace it, I have a light box, but if you don't have a light box handy, you can actually just take a nice sunny window and tape your feather drawing to the window and then just put your watercolor paper over it. Now, this is pretty heavy watercolor paper. It's 140 pound. So it's hard you just couldn't trace over and you won't, I'll just show you. You won't be able to see the line through that. So putting it in a sunny window, if you're lucky, if you have a light box, great. If not, a sunny window is great. Or you can even create a little light box if you want to start tracing in the future. They're really easy to create. So the watercolor paper that I'm using this is awesome stuff. It comes in 5 by 7, 8 by 10. It's Strathmore Ready Cut Watercolor. I love this paper. For the price, it's very great quality. Normally, there's some of those blocks that are out there, the Arches blocks and different, those are very expensive. They're really nice to have because they're pre-stretched, but the Ready Cut Watercolor it has a nice, it really doesn't even buckle that much. And if it does, you can always flatten it. So I use this, but you can also use heavyweight drawing paper, Bristol board, anything that you have. Now, you can use watercolors, which are the most easy to use. These are some inexpensive ones. These are like $6 or $7 for 36 colors and got some pearlescence. These are the Yasutoma watercolors. They're very inexpensive and they're available at Michael's and I believe Hobby Lobby. So those are really good to have, but I like the good stuff because that's just what I like. So I have some Daniel Smith. These are transparent watercolors. This is my favorite set so far. But I also have just some tubed colors that I put into a palette. And then I made a little swatch just so I'll remember what the colors are. I just made a little swatch card on it. So that's a really cool way to store your colors. I also love these little guys. Metallic colors. I think these were not expensive. They were maybe $15. Metallic Accents by Prima. And these have some delicious metallic colors that seem to really dissolve quickly in the water. So I wanted to share with you that. You can also have, if you wanted to use some gouache, white gouache is great for making light lines or highlights. I have some gold and silver. So the other part of the supplies, we've got the paper. We need scissors to cut out the feathers. Nice sharp scissors are good. We need, like I mentioned, the watercolors, metallics are awesome, and some pens if you have some pens. Like I have some gold, silver, just some black pens. You'll need a pencil for tracing out your feathers. Just stuff that you have to doodle. Just, because we're going to be doodling on the feathers after the painting is done. So you'll need some water, some brushes, a variety of brushes. Whatever you have is fine. If you don't have watercolors, acrylic paints will work just fine. I even have some gold leaf, this stuff I've had for years. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. But this is this gold leaf. I've had it probably for 25 years, 30 years. And in my lifetime, I've been using this stuff, but look how much stuff I've got. And I want to use some today just to give you a little demo on how you can apply gold leaf to your feathers if you happen to have it. If you don't, we can just gild them all we want. So here's the ones that I had done in the beginning. So you can see I painted them first, cut them out, after they've completely dried, I cut them out into the shapes. And then after that, I doodled. And you can see they have a dimension to them. And what I did was I scored the center part right in the middle on this back side, and I slightly folded it and pinched it to make that curved shape. What I'm going to do with these, I'm making a dream catcher, and these will be my feathers instead of real feathers. So I'm really excited about that. And when I'm finished with it, I'll be happy to show you. So let's get started with the watercolor part. And I've got my feathers here. I'm just going to take some watercolor and spritz. Really a nice thing to do to get started, especially when you want to make wet, juicy washes. I just spritz very lightly to moisten my colors. If they're in the pan, which most of my colors are in the pan, because I don't like having to put them out of the tube every time. So, and then I'm going to decide which colors I want to do, or I don't have to plan. I can just go crazy. Thing also, with metallic colors, they tend to take a while to dissolve. So I'm going to get them nice and wet. And now it's just spontaneous painting. Don't have to think about it. You can do all the colors in one. You can do them all in one color theme, which is a great way to get a lot done really fast. Or you can just kind of paint each one individually. So I'm just going to take a brush and I'm going to pick some random color. I'm not sure what this is, and I'll kind of check it out here. I might want to decide, I'm going to kind of make a puddle of color in my little palette, because maybe I'll just do 3 colors this time. And I want to see how they blend together. Sometimes having a scratch pad, or you can even just do it on the side, on the area where you're drawing, on the outside of your drawing, you can just see what colors will do together. Most colors, if they're transparent, will blend beautifully, but sometimes they don't blend so great. So it's kind of nice to just try it out. Just test them and see what happens. And I love doing that, just trying out different colors. So here's a nice, beautiful purple color. I don't remember. This one is a gorgeous color because it kind of shifts. It's a Daniel Smith color. It looks purple, but then as it dries, it has these little grains of blue in it. And for some reason, my brain isn't telling me what the name of it is, but it's ultramarine something. I'll try to write it down once I remember. I'll let you know. I'll probably blurt it out in 10 minutes. So here's another color. It's like a red, or kind of it's not really a bold red. It's more of a cool red. So I want to get a warm red in there. And this is a beautiful bright red. I'll just get that nice warm red in there. So now I've got a combination of colors that I want to work with. And so simply, I'm just going to lay the color down. And I'm just going to do it across the whole thing, because why not get everything done quickly and at once? And as long as I lay these down and just kind of go over the lines that I made, then these will blend nicely, and I will have a nice foundation for my feathers. Let's see, I'm going to just take that purple color and bring that across. So it's kind of fun. You can actually you can make a large, wide wash and just watch them blend. And of course, watercolors will dry lighter. And I want these to be nice and bold. So I'm just going to go I have to remember to concentrate my colors. I just want to cover all of the lines of the feathers that I drew. And at this time, I've got this nice little wash going on, graduated wash. And now is the time to introduce some metallics, just for fun. So I've got another little round brush I'm going to use. And I'm just going to, now metallics, to let you know, tend to spread color out. They're a lot heavier than the other colors. So when I put them on, they're going to spread the paint away, and it's kind of fun to watch. So I can actually make little dots, and as I make that, the colors are spreading. You can see that on the camera. I can see it really clearly. So you just need a little dot, and it will spread your colors. I think a gold or copper would look really pretty. I'll just do copper maybe. So this area is dried out, so it's not going to probably, now it's, the dots are not spreading because that area has already dried. So, but if I dot it up here, you can see while it's still wet, it will spread like crazy. So I work quickly, and you can also take your brush and just splatter, just spatter it everywhere. And that is so pretty when you do that, because it's a concentrated amount of color that gets spattered and it just looks pretty. I'll take a little gold. It's nice to mix the metals up, spatter, spatter. And also, if you're doing this in your living room or something with a carpet, watch out because spatters tend to go a few feet away. So I'm just spattering. And now I can leave that alone because it looks pretty as it is, or I can add more color. But right now, I think I'm just going to leave that and let that dry. So that's the thing. It's okay, now we got to dry. Now, you can take your hair dryer and speed up your drying. I do think I want to just add some color, just to add some dark blue to this, or this turquoise color. I'm going to use a brush. I'm just going to bring it down the center of one of these just to see what happens. It's still kind of wet. It doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line, but I just wanted to kind of create the center of that feather. And I could do it with another color. Let's see, or maybe a black, not a black, but ooh, that's really black. I don't really want to go there. But I'm just, I can bring that line down again. There we go, just a little darker. So that's going to dry nice and dark. It's going to be fun. And I could do that with all of them, which I might just try. A little line, and my hand is not, it's shaky today, but that's actually good because then my lines aren't so perfect. And we want to be loose and free with this. And just a little line to bring, kind of tie that just to show the feather a little bit more. And I think I'm just going to kind of darken the little feather tops or whatever those things are called. The spine of the feather, I don't know what that's called. So I'm just going to let that sit and doodle. This is once it's dry, and I'm going to put these aside. And now I want to just kind of, here's one that's already done. So next step, after your feather, it's completely dry. If it's a little buckled, that's okay. It's a little warped. If you don't want to work on warped paper, you can actually take your paper, spritz the back, while after you've painted, after it's dried, you spritz the back of it with some water, and then you can put a piece of wax paper over it and stick it under a book or in a press, and it will come out perfectly flat. So now the next thing is to take your scissors, and you just cut with your scissors around your drawing, the line that you drew. A good sharp pair of scissors are a must. So I'm just going to cut inside. Now this is a way that I cut inside. So what I did is I went inside, and then I'm just going to take my scissor points, and I'm just going to bring them to the edge, and that makes it easier to cut out sharp internal shapes. I'm going to keep cutting around, and this is when of course the feather just starts to take shape immediately. And there's really no right or wrong on how you painted it, because they look so pretty after you cut them out. And I think I'm going to give myself a little longer top here, because if I want to make this one a dream catcher, then I want to have some room to wrap my wire around it. So just take your scissors and just go in and snip away. Make those little feather fringe. And I see I pulled this out and I kind of tore the paper in here. So what I can do is go in here and detail it a little bit more, get that. Now, if I have even better scissors or finer scissors, you can get some really nice detail. You don't have to do detail, but if you want, you can also create feathers, lots of feathers, by just cutting and slicing all the way up the whole side of it. It's all up to you how you want your feather to look. You can make it as feathery and as fringy as you want. And this one, I just wanted to make hints of the fringe. First of all, I just didn't want to spend a bunch of time cutting. But I've seen that some of these paper feathers look so beautiful with a lot of cuts where they just look like a real feather. They're beautiful. So these little fringe parts are going to be the parts that take a little bit longer. And then once I get around that and just go around my drawing, and I see where I need to cut in right here. Sometimes your paint is so dark you can't see your drawings, but it's there if you use transparent paint. You'll be able to see it. You can also do the backs of your paper. Let's say you want to get a really dark feather. You can just trace on the back your feather drawing on the back of it. And then you can, there you go. You can actually cut it around a dark painting or drawing. So I'm going to add another slice in here. So just take some creative freedom and just decide where you want your little feather fringes to be. And now I've got my basic feather shape. And I'll move my scrap out of the way. You can cut out all of your feathers. Now I wanted to show you these little guys that I painted earlier. That's going to go on another one, but that's the same thing. So I'll just kind of cut around this one, and so I can make two different shapes with different sizes, and then we'll doodle on them. So this one is the same design that I printed out on from the PDF that you have. I uploaded to the site with the different. It's just sized at, I think 60. No, not 60. 75%, I believe, or it could have been 65%. Either way, just practice, just kind of play with it and see what sizes you will like. And this is a little smaller, so probably would have been better to have smaller scissors, but it seems to be doing okay. And it really doesn't take long to dry your watercolors with a hair dryer, of course. So here we go. And this paper is just perfect, the perfect weight. 140-pound watercolor is just a perfect weight. You can get hot press paper or cold press or even rough. It would look gorgeous either way. Bristol board works good. There's another paper. It's a heavyweight drawing paper needs to be kind of cardstock thickness though. So just when you're looking at papers, get paper that has that kind of cardstock thickness. These would be fun too, just cut out of cardstock scrapbook papers, and you won't have to paint them at all. So there's just different ways, and this shape is just so pretty. All right, so I got that guy. Oops, need to cut these little parts inside. So the fun part is now the doodling part. Get this part. Just kind of make my random cuts and slices in here. Here's another one that would work. I see the sketch. And you can vary your slices and shapes a little bit off the drawing, just to make them look more like they're, come from different parts of the bird. All right, so there we go. Now I've got two feathers that I can doodle on. So now it's time to doodle. And you can also paint again if you want. So let's do that. So now we have this. So I can use pens or I can use paints. And in this one, I kind of see I'd like to just get a little darker, something a little darker to give that part up here some definition. So I'm just going to I can just take that, I've got the line already drawn, and I can just take my brush and go up. And I've just created a new layer. So this is basically glazing. I'm glazing over with watercolor. If I did this in acrylic, you'd want to do it again in acrylic. And you can actually just create, more, if you want to create more definition. But if you don't, like I just did something I don't really like, so I'm going to take a tissue and I'm just going to blot it off. And that's what I love about watercolor. You can change your mind if you do it quickly. So now I've got that sort of ready to go, and I'm going to doodle. Now, you can use pens. You can use, like these are really cool, these metallic markers. Always test your markers out on a scrap piece of paper, just to make sure it's flowing correctly before you start your doodle. And with this one, oh, I wanted to try that. So I'm just going to just make some large circle, kind of, this is going to be a half circle, but it will be a circle in another part. So here's another, I kind of see where it needs to be. Now you can make them random. You don't have to make them perfect. Like I think I made this one perfect, but I want to do more random, kind of loose circles. They're not really circles. They're kind of spirally, loose and free. I don't want to get too perfect in my sketchies. You can see how really nice and metallic those are. If you don't have metallics, white, just the white paint, white gouache. It's just fun stuff. So just make something bold and fun, or you could make a, you could make, I've got some gouache here. This is really cool stuff. I can get it out. It was in a tube. It was this stuff here. It's really, but once it dries, it's hard to reconstitute, but it seems like I got it going by putting some water in it. So if I just want to tip just kind of give it a little more glitz, I can actually just put it over it. Now it probably won't work over the paint pen, so I'm just going to go around, just kind of make it more loose rather than tight. You just paint over your feathers. Another thing is to take white pens are great. You can make, I'll test this one to make sure it's working. Now these tend to just jump out. Paint just goes out everywhere with these. So I have to test that one to make sure that I'm getting a nice white line. Can't tell because it's white paper. But then now I'm just going to take this and I might do some lines just for fun. Like little, it doesn't have to be, in fact, the more I think, the worse it is. I can't be thinking too hard when I do this. I'm just going to do some lines, kind of doodly lines going on the side of that. And then I'll decide I can use a dark pen to highlight. You just really can't go wrong. Just make little lines and shapes. You can write on it. You can write a message on it or on the back. That would be really beautiful, is to just do the painting on the front and have this message on the back. I think that would look really cool. And here I'm just kind of, I want to be loosey-goosey. I want to kind of be painterly on this. So I'm kind of scrubbing my pen down. And it's not as white as I'd like it to be right now because I don't think I shook the pen. So it's kind of a very, very faint line. So the best thing to do is to shake the pen. Shake it really good. And give it another, and it should help. Let's see if that makes it more white. I'm just going to keep doing this until it gets as light as until it gets that lightness that I wanted to have. So that's just a little loose. I'll do it again on this side to kind of continue the theme. And the same here, just kind of vary the width of the line. Just kind of have fun with it. Now I wanted to show you, well, that's kind of different. Something I wouldn't have done before, but you know, you gotta play, you gotta try different things. Like I said, the more you think, the less you think about it. And you just have fun. Sometimes I like to just doodle while I'm on the phone talking to somebody. I really get I think I just get looser. I stop trying to make something perfect and I just get nice and loose and it really works out better. So here I'm just going to take those light white lines and kind of loosely doodle around my gold circle shapes. And I'm going to leave that alone for right now, but also I wanted to show you, maybe I won't leave it alone. I can't leave it alone. So if you remember the other day, if you were in the class with Tanya, she had this stuff, she used this stuff called quickie glue. And I find it's not only great for gluing, you know, areas, but it's great for doing gold leaf. So let's say I want to write a little a little saying on this. Okay, so I think that word, was it hope is the thing with feathers. It was a really neat, just gonna just write the word hope kind of in a script. And then I'll just put the hope is the thing. I don't know how this is gonna look, but we'll see. Hope is the thing. Let's just see. There we go. Now I'm gonna let that dry for a sec. I might even put a couple of dots here. You can even do little dots and let that dry. It will dry tacky. It won't dry completely until you actually put your gold leaf on top. So I've got some dots now. If you didn't want to write, you can just make little dots or dashes or anything you want. And now this is where it gets messy. So I'm going to grab a trash can, because the last time I did this, I had gold leaf from here all over. I had it in corners I didn't realize I had. So I just have a trash can here. I'm going to grab some leaf material, which I'll just take this is like a composition. It has like several colors in it. And what's interesting about this stuff is it's really, really thin, and it's like becomes airborne really quick if you're not careful. But this stuff actually is what they use to gild frames and large. This is the real thing. There is some other gold leaf. Oh, that's just pure gold. That'd be fun. There's other gold leaf materials out there that's thin, and it's like a transfer. You can use that too. This is this is how they come in full sheets. But in the past, I've only used small parts, so I'm just going to try to find one that's sort of already used a little bit. Okay, so this one is torn off a little bit on the edge. So now I think my glue's probably dry. When you can tell it's dry or it's ready to be used, it sort of has a dull finish. I see in the dots it's not completely ready, but I'll just go ahead and do it on the writing. And I'm just going to lay the leafing material. You can see how very thin it is. It's just lighter than a feather. And I'm just going to, I'm going to try cutting this, since I'm using a, oh, there, it's stuck to the feather already. So I've made my commitment. All right, I already did that. Okay, so I'm just going to lay it on top, and you can lay it, doesn't have to be a full sheet. You can just lay it wherever you see your glue spots. So even if you have small crumbs of it, you can just lay it down and stick it over your whatever you have. Just gonna put it all over that. One sheet is I'm kind of wasting a little bit, but because that's gonna, once I brush it off, that leaf becomes really powdery. And what I could do, if I wanted to be really conservative, I could save it in a jar. I could have a little jar and put it all the little crumbs in that, and then I could use that for future stuff. Or what's even better, I can put this stuff in paint and it would look fabulous. So I've got my everything over and I can just press it down and I'll just see how it looks. So what I need after that, to get that off, I use a bristle, like a kind of a hog bristle brush. This is just a small one, but you can actually get, this is how you're going to brush it off. You're just going to take it and just start to brush it off. Now, there it is. See, now you can see the lettering didn't stick to all of it. Oh, it kind of did. There it is. So you can see the lettering is coming through. And I just keep scrubbing until I get all the adhesive, it's only going to stick to where the adhesive was. So there it is. Hope is the thing. And then there, it's just going to scrub it off. And I'd really like to save some of these, but we'll see. And there's my little dots showing up, really nice and bright. And it will, like I said, only stick to the adhesive where I put the adhesive down. So I could save this, and I should. There it is. And I'm just going to move that out of the way so you can see. I really need to get that part out right there where I scrubbed. I want to get all the stuff inside of the letters. And there it is. So let's see. And there I've got this fun gilded leaf. It would be really gorgeous to actually, it would really be cool. There it is. You can see the letters. This, I think it'd be really fun to put it just on the edge of one of the feathers. Like, let's say I wanted to get a lot more liquid, I would get an adhesive that's not in a pen, because a pen would just, I'd have to spend a lot of time coloring. But if I wanted to get that gold on a thicker area, just brush it with some sizing, gold leaf sizing, and which is available everywhere. So I'm gonna save this. I don't want to lose it. I'll put it in the tissue because it's good as gold. You can see how much powder is on my table, and that will fly away everywhere if I don't wet it down. So this will go in a jar later, and I can go back, I can use it. So now the next thing, when you're ready to, and you've finished your feather, you could paint the white side, or you can put a message or anything you want. But let's say it's finished. I could actually doodle some more. So you can do some drawing around it. You can make little marks. Just have fun with it. Here I've got some little black pen marks. I just wanted to add a little dark to it, making little doodles around it. And so you could just keep going all day long. And here, like this, I think I would be fun to just take where I had done the light lines and just kind of shadow them with the dark pen. And that will give it some dimension, because that white just didn't pop the way I wanted it to. So I'm able to just go in and make it pop by creating a shadow line. And really, there's no wrong way to do this. Yeah, I do like the shadows. So I'm just going to continue that and get that done. And then I'm going to show you how we score and fold the center to give it some shape. Okay, I'm done. Sometimes you can overdo it. Okay, so now I've got this. I could actually just start to fold. I want to use that line right there. If I use a burnishing tool, which I did not put here on the table, a bone folder would work, or you can just kind of create, you want to score it. I think that would be best. So I'm going to just find the center, and I'm going to have to find something I can score it with. Since I don't have my tool with me, I'm just going to use a ballpoint pen. And well, yeah, I'll use a ballpoint pen so you can see that it can be scored. And I could take a ruler or a straight edge, just grab one of those. Just going to take it and go right down the center of my feather, which is right smack in the center. And I'm just going to and I'm going to score. I'm just pressing really hard with this pen. Now, if you have a pen or some kind of tool, so you don't make the line, of course, but if the line is fine too, because you can write stuff. But I just did a nice, I think I scored it pretty well, I hope. And now, yep, it works. So now I'm just going to bend it towards my score line. And now I've created that dimension, that shape that we're looking for. So now we have, this one's ready.